Matiang'i maintains that Miguna will only be allowed into Kenya after regularizing his citizenship. Matiang'i, who appeared before the Parliamentary National Security Committee, further says the government did not confiscate Miguna's passport and claims he was barred entry as he was undocumented. Immigration and Border Control PS Gordon Kihalangwa told the committee that the identity card Miguna was waving at the airport is an illegal document, as it says to be legitimate when he renounced his citizenship, and as such he needs to apply afresh for both national identification card and Kenyan passport. Our reporter Francis Gashuri has been following the proceedings and now joins us live from Continental House. A very good afternoon to you, Francis. Let's start off with the issue of his deportation. Kindly clarify on what exactly happened to Miguna if at all he wasn't deported, and on the issue of authenticity of his national identity card that he was waving at the airport.
Freddie, the Immigration Department has given its side of the story, and so has the Interior Affairs and Coordination of National Government. And through Minister Dr. Fred Matiang'i, who was leading that delegation from the Office of the Interior Affairs and Coordination of National Government, their position is that Miguna was not deported, that he was actually returned to his port of departure because he declined to follow the regulations in terms of immigration. That when he refused to hand over his passport for stamping that he was entering into the country, then he was not actually in the country, he was in no man's land. And even after the Canadian officials, according to the immigration officials, tried to intervene and make sense with Miguna in terms of the question of handing over his travel documents so that he can be verified, authenticated and stamped that he had entered into the country, he declined. And that even attempts to have him regularize his citizenship that the ministry says or holds that he lost in 1998 when he acquired the Canadian citizenship, that he declined to sign those papers and actually told them, then that is the point that the minister says that they took the decision to return him to where he had come from, i.e. Dubai, and onwards transmission to Toronto, Canada. And so that position that they hold is that their side of the story has not been told, and that even the courts declined to listen to them, and that the whole drama surrounding Miguna's return to Canada was unnecessary, that if he had complied with the regulations, then he would have been given a safe passage into the country in compliance with the court orders issued by the judges who are handling the case of his citizenship. And according to the minister, there are 3,000 Kenyans who have, since the enactment of the new constitution in 2010, who have regularized their citizenship, and that Miguna only needed to sign that document and he would have been allowed back into the country. And that is the explanation that he gives. And the question of the national identity card that Miguna was flashing at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, the PS Immigration, Dr. Gordon Kihalangwa, says that that ID that Miguna holds is illegal, and that actually he needs to apply for a fresh national identity card alongside regularizing his citizenship by filling the requisite documents. So even then, they're saying they would not have allowed him to get into the country using that ID that they hold that was illegal. And Freddie, one would ask, how comes Miguna had a passport that was perforated by the government when he was deported the first time? And how comes he still has an ID that he holds and was actually used to vie for the governorship in Nairobi? The government holds that, or the ministry holds that there were irregularities and illegalities that were committed by the then Minister for Immigration, the late Otieno Kajwang, that the file that Miguna used to get that passport was illegal, had a lot of fraud, and that is the part of what they are claiming to be a cleanup exercise to regularize all the documents and hold back or recall back any passports that would have been given out without following the due process by the previous administration, Freddie.
Now, the state officials, Francis, say they were simply sticking to the immigration regulations stated in our laws. But did they mention anything to do with the number of court orders that have gone unobeyed?
Absolutely. There were 13 court orders in relation to the Miguna case. And all these court orders, according to the minister, he says, were acquired ex parte. And this is where he claims there is a clique, a cartel, sort of, that is holding the judiciary at ransom, that he says is comprised of a few civil society activists, some judges and some activist lawyers. And they say, according to the minister, that this cartel, its main work is to ensure that the government does not function. Of course, the other side, when the lawyers who are representing Miguna went to court, they were saying that the government is exercising undue law and that it was full of impunity. So the tug of war between the judiciary and the executive, especially in relation to the Miguna matter, now taking a different turn when the minister in charge of immigration and matters of national security accuses a section of the judicial officers, together with some lawyers, of trying to hold the government at ransom and making sure that it doesn't work. And there was also a question that was posed, Freddie, in relation to the fine that was handed to Dr. Matiang'i and other top officials of the Ministry of Interior Affairs, that 200,000 shillings fine. They said that they have appealed that ruling, as well as the other 13 court orders that have been issued in relation to the Miguna case. That appeal has been filed this morning at the Court of Appeal. So another battle, legal showdown, so to say, commencing at the Court of Appeal in relation to the Miguna matter. And the minister says this is where they're going to give their side of the story in relation to the whole debacle about the Miguna deportation in the first instance, as well as the return that was done this week after the standoff that we witnessed last week at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport.
Thank you, Francis. Francis Gashuri there live from